In this video, you will see how to use plugins to extend the capability of CA Continuous Delivery Director, or CDD, so that it can communicate with other products in the continuous delivery lifecycle. In this case, I've logged into CDD as an administrative user, and you'll see that I have a release called Email Services Deployment that will deploy the email services application. In order to use plugins, one must make sure that the applications are configured to be accessed by certain users and groups. So let's go take a look at that. Here's my email services application, and you'll notice that not only have I defined the application itself, I've also defined the environments where I will deploy it, but I've also identified which users and groups are authorized to use this application in the context of CDD, the QA team, the release team, the development team, and a couple of users. One is an administrative user, Jim, and the other is a release manager, Sue. All right, so with these defined, now I can go set up my plugins so that we can begin using them in our releases. In this case, I'm going to use a plugin related to communicating with a collaboration tool called Slack, slack.com. To do that, I'll need to set up the plugin itself. So for that, I'm going to go into my file system here and install the WAR file needed for that. First, though, what I'll do is I'll stop my Apache Tomcat service. And with that stopped, I'll copy in the WAR file that I need. So I've downloaded all of those, and you can see that there's a lot of different plugins that I could use. Let me copy that, and I'll copy it to the Tomcat Web Apps folder. So now all I need to do is restart Tomcat, and it will be installed. All right, so now that's going. Now CDD will be able to see that plugin. Let's go to the plugins page. And you can see I've already got one plugin already defined, the ability to access RESTful APIs from within CDD, but let's add a new one. And it happens that I've already set the manifest URL on this particular server. So I'll just add that and register the plugin. Now, once it's registered, it tells me a bit of information about the plugin. The most important thing here is that it tells me the number of tasks that are possible, that are made possible by this plugin. It happens that the task that I need is the ability to send notifications to a team that's using Slack.com as a collaboration tool, and that's exactly what I'll be doing. But notice that there are other capabilities depending on the type of plugin that you have. If you're importing and working with release automation tools, there's a thing here for application method. If you're using Agile related content devices or applications, there's a content section. If you're using something like BlazeMeter for testing, then there's a number of types of tests that can be accomplished here with that. So there's lots of extended kind of capabilities depending on the plugin that you're using. All right, now I've registered the plugin, but now CDD needs to know where is it? Where are we communicating to? And that's called an endpoint. Let's go and set up the endpoint. It happens that I need a bit of a configuration for this, and all plugins need some type of parameters needed for the configuration of them here. They're all different, as you can imagine. So we're going to do the one here related to Slack. So I'm going to tell it, yep, this is my Slack plugin. It's for communicating with Slack.com. and we need to tell it which applications will be using this. Now, you'll notice that email services is the one we're concerned about, but it may be that all of our applications will have tasks in our releases to all these applications that may need to have Slack related communications. So I could select one or all of them here. For now, I'll just select the email services. Now, notice also it says, well, which environments are going to be a part of this. And I'll go ahead and take all of the email services related environments to be part of this. Now, the main part of this now is to tell it which plugin this is an endpoint for. And in this case, it's for Slack. Once I identify that, there are additional parameters down here. It happens that Slack uses what's called a webhook URL, which I've configured here. Well, that is to say, I've gotten the address from slack.com, and now I can add it to this. Notice that in this particular case, connectivity is fantastically important, so I'll test the connection to make sure my webhook URL is working correctly, and it says yes, it's connected. And in fact, it has sent a test notification to Slack to verify that that's actually working, and I'll say, yeah, let's add that now. So now we have Slack added as a plugin that we can use now with our applications. So let's see what the end of that looks like. Let me just go back to that release we were looking at, email services deployment. And I have a number of tasks in the various phases here that are notifications. You'll notice right now they're listed as manual task, but what I'd like to do is I'd like to change that to an automated task that takes advantage of that plugin. So let's change this now from manual to posting a message to Slack. Now with that, I'll need to tell it which endpoint we're using. We only have the one, that's fine. And configure the rest of the bits here that are needed. It happens that you'll notice here that the sender says CDD director. You can change that to whatever you need it to be, but you need a channel for it to post to. In my case, it is like that, and some kind of message. So we'll say that the application and environment is prepared to install in UAT. So that will be our message, and we can save that. And you notice now that we've changed that to using Slack, that it shows the icon there and says which activity enabled by Slack is being used. All right, so that is how you can add automation to your releases using plugins. To learn more about CA Continuous Delivery Director, connect with other users, and share your own expertise, visit the CA.com product page by clicking the link shown here.